The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, thank you for joining today's webinar sponsored by Index Engines. Today we're talking about how we can accelerate time to data, and one of the key features that we announced at Legal Tech this year are SharePoint processing and SharePoint capabilities. My name is Jim again. I'm VP of Marketing here at Index Engines, and I'll be giving you a short presentation on this Friday afternoon. I'm joined today by Jeff Cooper, who's a solutions architect, who's going to take you through the product and show you some of the key features of the technology. If you do have questions, feel free to type questions in the chat area. You'll see on the right lower portion of your screen, or my email address is there, and I'll put it up at the end of the session as well. You can send direct questions into my email or to info@indexengines.com. Okay, so today we're talking, I'm going to show you our new 5.1 release. We announced it at Legal Tech in February of this year, this past month. Some of the key features which we'll be showing you today, and Jeff will show you this in the demonstration, is the ability to index SharePoint. We call it no-copy SharePoint. There's some technologies that require a full dump of the SharePoint database to disk for indexing. We are not like that because we know it takes a lot of resources to process, so we can index SharePoint in place, allow you to search it, report on it, and coming soon is the ability to extract out of it. We've added a number of new features that accelerate time to data, some features like Active Directory integration, customized dashboards and reports, and Jeff will show you some of those reports in the demonstration, some enhanced relativity support to be able to search on relativity IDs, and a streamlined GUI to really make the process much more intuitive in order to process the identification and culling and collection of data. Some of the challenges we see and our real goal in developing technology here at Index Engines is really the ability to accelerate the collection process and alleviate some of the bottlenecks that we see out there in ESI processing. A lot of what we've been hearing from our clients is really looking for the ability to manage on-site collection and management of content, which I'll talk about. Support large collections. One of the unique facets of the Index Engines Octane platform is the ability to process significantly large volumes of ESI from tens of terabytes. We've seen projects to hundreds of terabytes, and to ensure defensibility and accuracy in the culling and processing. So what a lot of our partners and clients are looking to do is to really alleviate the lag in waiting for ESI to be indexed. I mean, we're obviously a very high speed, or the highest speed indexing engine on the market today, so important to us, it's in our name. So we're allow you to really eliminate that wait time for data to be processed and indexed. One of the key features is the ability to index from multiple sources. A lot of clients are using multiple tools to process things like forensic images, SharePoint, backup tapes, disk, EnCase images, things like that. We have the ability to process all those sources and alleviate that pain. And one of the other areas is the ability to collaborate and provide access to your partners and to your clients into the interface. So one of the key features, and this is a product we announced actually at last Legal Tech 2013, is our portable collection engine. It is a portable box that allows you to reduce time spent in the field, which is one of the key concerns that we've heard from partners and clients, is they're spending way too much time in the field doing collection. We have introduced and have available today an on-site portable collection engine that can be brought into the field. It's very high speed, identification and collection capability that allows you to bring the technology out to your clients or out to remote sites for the identification and collection of data. One of the unique features is you can preset these collection policies in your lab, and as you plug it into the data sources, the ESI is automatically captured, and you can grab it and return it back to your lab for processing. So one of the use cases we see is over-collecting data, collecting mailboxes, departmental mailboxes, and so on, and bringing that back to the lab for detailed culling, finding specific files and emails. And high-speed indexing, high-speed processing allows you to really eliminate the bottleneck of doing on-site collection, allow you to get in and out very quickly. One of the areas that we continue to focus on in the collection process is to improve the accuracy and provide more comprehensive collection capability. So one of the unique attributes of the Octane platform for the Index engines is the ability to ingest ESI from any source using a single pass. So whether you're connecting to networks and desktops, email, forensic images, even legacy backup tapes, or SharePoint, you can provide the unique ability to select and identify and collect individual and unique copies of data. So if there's duplicate data that exists on desktops and in SharePoint and possibly a backup tape, you can ensure that only one unique copy will be collected if that's what's required as data is preserved. This allows you to get a wide view across the entire data set and to not limit yourself to specific things like custodian mailboxes. So the fact that you can query on content like file types and keywords such as email, you'll find responsive ESI across any locations, including outside of Exchange databases. You may find email in PSTs or individual email on desktops that may not exist within the Exchange database. So providing a more comprehensive search across the entire data set of the entire universe of what has been connected to using the Index Engine platform. A lot of automation has been built into the technology to really streamline and accelerate time to data. Everything that Jeff's going to show you in the demonstration can be stored. So you create these collection and query policies, whether they're a keyword search or a date range search or any kind of metadata search. You create that, and it can be stored in the database, and you can set it up to run on a continual basis. So if you're doing collections in the field and you're collecting, every couple of days or every couple hours, you can set this to run on a frequent basis to update itself as the data sets change. And if you're doing this in your lab as well, you can continually run the process and save these queries. And the queries can be as simple or as complex as you like. They could be simple date ranges and file types, or they can go into specific lists of custodians. And we've seen some of the queries that are saved, being in the megabytes, significantly large queries that get fairly complex. A lot of the collaboration that we see as a requirement is the ability to collaborate with your clients and your legal teams, your inside, your outside counsel, your partners, and so on. So Index Engines, the Octane platform has always had a browser-based interface. The fact that it's browser-based allows you to remotely collaborate with your clients, providing the secure connection to the data set. We also have a capability called user profiles that allow you to set up a profile based on a login ID that allows you secure access to a specific subset of the data. So if you're working with, say, for example, outside counsel or some kind of legal advisor, you can set up a data set, a very limited data set, and provide them a login to collaborate and to further cull and to tag and to process data. So again, one of the more advanced features in the interface that allows you to really accelerate time to data. Early data assessment is another area we see that's being very popular these days in terms of becoming a bit more proactive in the e-discovery process. Allow you to basically report and analyze on the data sets, and some of the reporting capabilities, which Jeff will show you, allow you to do analysis of content, to look for data, specific things like PSTs, files, specific file types, specific data by owner, by location, and really analyze that content and drill into it at a granular level or at a high level of reports using the dynamic culling and reporting capabilities. So in terms of the processing, one of the things that's unique about the Octane platform is as you process data, especially specifically email, and you index content from, say, Exchange, notes, PSTs, forensic images, backup tapes, hard drives, different data sets, you can query that content for specific content or specific custodian mailboxes. And we have a hold repository or preservation archive that'll extract that content. So if you're working with different data sets, and even if you're doing field collection, you can create these queries in your lab, go out there, point to the data set as you connect to it, and extract the native data into the repository, to a legal hold repository. And it's done at a bit level. So for example, for things like email, if you're extracting, say, a custodian mailbox or specific emails, it'll extract it and capture a bit level image of that content, so there's no conversion of the email to EML or MSG format. You can go out there and grab full mailboxes or full PSTs into the repository and then bring it back into your lab and do further culling on that repository and extract the native files and emails, and no need for the original source in that case. So for a lot of our partners that are doing initial collection of data, this allows them to go out and over-collect content in a forensically sound manner, bring it back into the lab, and do more detailed culling and processing without having to go back and go back on the client or the the site where the data set is located. So really one of the key advantages of the Octane platform is it really does accelerate time to data, and whether you use some components of the Octane platform, whether it's just for tape processing or using a full workflow capability, you'll see the process being accelerated significantly. So one of the challenges that you may have in your collection and identification collection of data is you're dealing with both online and offline data sets, which could be servers and SharePoint and email, all the way to hard drives and backup tapes. You basically need to use different levels of tools to be able to process these data sets. So for email, you may be using things to extract mailboxes and PSTs out of those containers. For servers, you may be using IT tools to grab content. For forensic images, you use specialized tools. Hard drives, you typically need to extract all the data to disk. Backup tapes, you basically need to use third-party services. So using these different set of tools here within your lab or using third-party consultants, you end up creating multiple data sets that need to be processed. It's on-process, duplicate, highly irrelevant content that needs to be indexed, filtered, deduped, culled, and then down to your responsive data set. The really power that is available within the Octane platform from index engines is that you can point to the same different data sets using a unified e-discovery platform, meaning a unified approach, set up your identification, deduplication, culling process in one pass, so a single pass against all these sources, and in one shot go down to responsive data, which could integrate to review platforms such as Relativity and others. So the idea is that you're not creating this staging area of creating multiple data sets in order to process data. It significantly accelerates time to data. So what I want to do is pass it to Jeff to do a short demonstration, about 10 minutes or 8 minutes or so, and show you a high-level view of the product, and then we'll come back and finish up and can take any questions. So Jeff.
Thanks, Jim. So like Jim said, what I'm going to do is take everyone through a really high-level look, pretty quick overview of how we get to our data, basically how we then search and cull that data. So the first thing that we're going to need is actual data to be indexed. So the first thing I'm going to do is come over to our land page, our land sources page. So really what you can see here is that we already have a few land sources set up. We can either put in an IP address or a DNS name, whichever one you might have. And we can index from a few different types of sources. We can go from a CIS share, an NFS export, an NDMP backup stream, or now as Jim has mentioned, we can do no-copy SharePoint indexing. So what you can see here, in order for me to add a source, I can drill these down so as you can see CIS, SharePoint, NFS. I can simply click this Add Source button. So the first thing I want to do is put in my service type. So again, this would be the CIS share. I want to put in my host, mount, directory, username and password. Then it's mostly the same for NFS export, a little bit the same for NDMP backup, and then finally our SharePoint, which needs most of the same information. Once you have this in, you click Submit, and it's populated over here into our sources page. So what I want to do from here is, now that I've pointed our appliance at the actual data, I want to tell our appliance to go out there and actually crawl it and make it searchable. So the way I do that is I choose the source that I want to index, and I can add what we call a job definition. All I have to simply do here is I can give this a name and a job type, and I'm pretty much ready to go. I can click Submit here, and I'll actually see this job be populated over here, so I can click on this shortcut to get to that specific job definition. Or I can click over here on my Job Definitions tab, and I'll have all my jobs populated here. where I could then click on any one or multiples of these, click the Run Now button, and this is going to set everything off. We're going to go out there, crawl the network share or SharePoint site, whatever it might be, and create our searchable index. So with that being said, I will come over to our search side and show you a few things over here. So the first thing you're going to see that we land on is actually our preferences page. So what you'll see here is we have things like our fields to include, which will pretty much determine what metadata fields are included in various CSV reports that we create, and our relativity load file. Over here we have reports to include, which will determine which summary reports, which I'll show you in just a little bit, are compiled. Deduplication options can be chosen down here. So I can go between content and path, content, everything that you see here. And then I have our results mode, which determines how attachments and different data types are searched. I'm going to save this real quick to change that. So the first way I'm going to show the search is our location. Because as we had mentioned, we now do SharePoint searching. So what I can actually do here is you see I have a few different servers that we've indexed out on this appliance. So what I can actually start doing from here is drilling down into a particular file share, or actually what I have here are different SharePoint sites. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click it from the top level and keep it at the entire SharePoint site that we've indexed. So I can do a search from here, and at first all I'm getting is anything on that SharePoint site, or that whole entire SharePoint, I guess, repository. So the next thing I can do is I can add content. So I can come in here. We have different options such as all these words, nears, nots, next, and all your typical Boolean operators that you can now add in, or I guess start off with when only searching the SharePoint. So I can do something like employee, do a search, and now you can easily see I'm already down to 14 different search results. On top of content, under file properties, document properties, and email properties, these are all the different metadata fields that we've indexed and made searchable to each user. So under file properties, we have things like name, owners, different user permissions. We have created and modified access times, sizes, file types, extensions, different statuses we give them. Underneath document properties, we have a little bit of the same. There's the title, author, create and modified time. And then under email properties, we have things like subjects, froms, tos, CCs, PCCs, send, receive, deleted times. So all these are, you can use them individually or you can use them in conjunction with each other. As Jim mentioned, you can make very simple or very complex queries depending on how granular you want to get. The other thing I want to show is what we call our summary report. So I can come over here, and what this will do is this will compile the 15 or 20 or so different reports I had selected before on that preferences page. And I can choose to have pretty much as many as I want selected. The more you have selected, the longer time it's going to take to compile. I had a very small data set here, so that didn't take very long. What we can see here is I'm looking at everything from a pretty high level. So right now I happen to be looking at our file type. So this lists out, it's only 3 file types for now. So it lists out the different file types, their sizes, and their file count. Now I can pull this down and I can look at different things like modified times. I can come over to owners. I'm able to come over to sender and receiver domains for emails. Well, there's no emails here. You can look at things like sizes. And what I can actually start doing from these reports is start coloring. So maybe if I want to see the biggest of the reports or biggest of the files that I have here, I can deselect all of these, and I can just select only these 2 highest groups, do another search, and then to 0. So I can start coloring on any one of these. And what we'll see is we actually have this query box over here that as I'm building it out, we can see the sizes, the query that I'm currently putting in now. I'm actually going to do it clear. So what we can see is I can look at the query box here, see my current query, which just happens to be employee. But as I deselect or select certain ones, you can see that my query is updated over here. I can further look at this current location when I have this selected. And we'll see that my current location is updated. And I can also save these queries. So if I have queries that I saved down the line and I want to bring back later on, I can easily load these in, and we'll see the current query come up here, and this happens just to be a simple file type PST search. Do another clear here. So finally, the last thing you might want to do is I could come over here and look at my results. And the first thing I want to do is tag them in one way or another. These happen to already be tagged as view and email, but I could tag these as files of interest. Click this plus button right here, and as you see, the flag will pop up, and now it has the files of interest tag as well. So later on down the line, again, I can come over here, do a search by tag, make it my files of interest, do a search, and I get my files back. At this point, it's all about disposition. So right now, with non-SharePoint files or data, we can do an extract to relativity. We can extract natively to disk. We can do a copy or delete from its source or just from our index. And that is all coming soon to our SharePoint data as well. And the way I would do that is simply have these selected. I could come over here and select my action. And depending on which one I want to do, I would select that. So for example, if I was doing an extract, I would choose that, put in the description, a destination of where I'm extracting to, username and password if necessary, and then click submit. So really from a quick demo point of view, that is pretty much all I have. So Jim has already shown me my time is exactly 8.5 minutes as promised. So I'm going to send it back to him to finish this up.
Thanks, Jeff, for being so prompt. Okay, so we're trying to keep this to 30 minutes today. I know it's Friday afternoon. To wrap it up, some of the stuff Jeff showed you some of our new capabilities. Those capabilities are available for deploy at client sites or partner sites. We also have a cloud services lab. Any kind of data sets that you could send to us, forensic images, backup tapes, hard drives, and so on, can be processed in our processing facility, and that browser-based interface that Jeff showed you could be available, so you can do some culling, and we can extract data and deliver it to you as well. One of the important features of the Index Engines platform is that through the EDRM, or the identification, collection, preservation, and processing phase, we have a lot of technology available. A lot of people think about us just as backup tapes, but there's a full range of technology available to be able to collect data. We talked about the on-site collection engine, which is available to go on a customer site. We also have a server that can sit in your lab. I also mentioned the cloud lab as well. Could point to all sorts of different data sources, so whether it's online sources or offline sources, can provide full culling, search culling, and collection and preservation. The data could be deduped, denisted, and processed into either a legal hold archive or extracted out to disk, and then integrated with things like relativity. So whether you're specializing in really more identification collection or all the way downstream processing, analysis of data, we have technology that's available that is fully unified, auditable, defensible, and cost-effective. A lot of different pricing models, whether they be project-based or annual subscription-based, that fit within your needs. And the goal really is to accelerate time to data. So Octane version 5 is our current platform. Today, it delivers very powerful capabilities, mostly focused on the identification and collection of data. Again, very flexible and competitive pricing models. Some of our key capabilities really are processing of large-scale jobs in a collaborative manner that really can accelerate time to data. If you do have questions, my email address is up there. Feel free to send it in. I'm happy to send you a copy of the slide deck or a copy of the recording of today's session. We also have a white paper that's available that talks about 10 steps towards streamlining your e-discovery lab. I can shoot that out to you as well. It's also on our website, indexengines.com. And if you do have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. I know we're running short of time, so we'll get back to people individually that have asked some questions. Again, thank you very much for your time. I know 30 minutes on a Friday afternoon is always very challenging, but I appreciate everybody's attention, and we look forward to speaking with you again in the future. Thanks, and have an enjoyable rest of your day.